Most universities, they're built on a purely academic foundation, right? But what happens when a university is born from over a decade of actual hands-on grassroots work? Well, today we're going to dive into the story of Azim Premji University. We'll explore their blueprint for creating a whole new generation of social change agents. So this right here, this is their North Star. And listen, it's not just some fancy mission statement they hang on a wall. Nope. It's their operational framework. Think about that. This one sentence literally dictates everything from curriculum design to who they hire to even which students get in. I mean, talk about an ambitious vision.
And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do you even begin to build a university to achieve a goal that big? How do you basically reverse engineer an entire school to create people who can tackle society's toughest problems? Well, the answer is, you don't start in a classroom. All right, so let's get into it. The way this university started is, well, it's really unusual. This wasn't some idea dreamed up in an ivory tower. Not at all. It grew directly from the Azim Premji Foundation's decade of super intensive work inside India's government school system. They weren't just studying the problems from afar, they were living and breathing them.
And through all that firsthand experience, they spotted a huge gap. There just weren't enough people out there who had both the technical skills and that deep, nuanced understanding of social issues. So what was their solution? It was pretty radical, actually. They decided to build an entire university designed specifically to fill that void.
Okay, that brings us to their mission. The university was created as a direct, strategic response to this very problem. See, the mission wasn't just education for the sake of education. Nah, it was all about creating a dedicated pipeline of talent specifically for the social sector. The whole institution, from top to bottom, is geared towards building up skills in these really critical fields. Education, public health, sustainable livelihoods. It's a model designed to produce graduates who don't just sit around and talk about change, they're equipped to actually go out and do it. Okay, so this brings us to their academic model, which is really the engine driving this whole project. It's specifically designed to prepare students for what they call the last-mile challenges of development. And what does that mean? It means the real, messy, on-the-ground work that actually makes a difference. Just take a look at how they structure their undergraduate programs. What they do is intentionally break down those old, rigid academic silos. So you'll have a biology student learning about policy implementation, or a history major who's getting deep into critical data analysis. The whole point is to create this interdisciplinary mindset because, let's be real, real-world problems don't fit neatly into one subject, right? And their whole approach is laid out so well here. Check out how theory and field practice are woven together right from the very beginning. Everything kicks off with a common curriculum to build that critical thinking foundation. And then it all leads up to these specialized final year tracks. So students get to choose. Do they want to do a deep dive into coursework, write an academic thesis, or get their hands dirty with an internship? It lets them totally tailor their degree to the kind of impact they want to make.
Okay, so they have this incredibly powerful academic model. But the big question is, how do you scale that kind of impact across a country as huge and diverse as India? Well, the answer isn't just to build one giant central campus. It's about decentralizing the mission, getting more local.
And you can really see their deliberate, phased growth right here. They started in Bengaluru, which is a major hub in South India. Then they expanded to Bhopal in central India. And next up is Ranchi in the east. Every single step has been a super strategic move to spread out their mission.
And I want to be clear, this is not just a simple copy-paste job. The upcoming Ranchi campus, for example, is going to be massive. And it's being custom-built to tackle the specific development needs of Eastern India. It's so tailored, get this, it's even going to include a dedicated medical college and a teaching hospital to go after the region's biggest health challenges. That's amazing.
Okay, so does this whole model actually work? I mean, that's the bottom line, right? Well, the university measures its success in a really different way. It's not about corporate placements. It's about how many of its graduates actually go into the social sector and start making a difference. So, let's take a look at the numbers.
Okay, this right here is the headline number. A staggering 90%, nearly all of their graduates, choose to work in the social sector. I mean, wow. If you're looking for proof that the university is actually fulfilling its core mission, this is it. They're absolutely creating that talent pool they set out to build. And we're not talking about a small number here. The scale is huge. We're talking over 4,500 graduates out there in the world, working in more than 300 different organizations. And these are everything from grassroots nonprofits all the way up to major policy think tanks. That is one powerful network for change.
This chart gives us a great snapshot of where all that impact is happening. Now, education is obviously a huge piece of the pie, which makes sense given the university's origins. But look at the sheer breadth here. Their alumni are working across the entire development landscape, from high-level policy research to direct on-the-ground community action. It's really impressive. All right, let's talk about something practical: salaries. Now, the numbers you see here, they reflect the reality of working in the social sector. These packages aren't meant to compete with big corporate tech jobs, and that's by design. They line up with roles that are dedicated to social impact, offering a real, sustainable career path for people who are committed to the mission.
But here's the thing. None of this incredible impact is even possible if the right students can't afford to walk through the door in the first place. And this is another area where the university's commitment to equity just shines.
Get this, a full 55%. That's more than half of the entire student body receives need-based financial aid. Let that sink in for a second. This is not some token scholarship program. It's a core part of their model, designed to tear down financial barriers and make sure the student body is genuinely diverse and inclusive.
And they've actually made the process pretty straightforward. You just indicate that you need aid right on your main application. If you get in, you submit a more detailed form and some documents. And then there's a verification process to make sure the whole system is fair and transparent. The goal is simple: make it accessible, not intimidated.
So I want to leave you with this final thought, this big question. What if this is the future of philanthropy? Instead of just funding one-off projects, what if the most impactful thing you can do is build permanent institutions, like a university, that create generations of problem solvers, year after year? It's a really powerful idea and something to think about.